Okay, it is, I don't know why I looked at my watch because I already know it's the 7th of November. Today we had I scheduled a 4-hour ride about 3 weeks ago when I planned this block. Last week we did 3 hours 40, which was planned. This week I am 50 minutes in, done 20k, and I am now gonna head back. We are calling it. Now, this is something usually for me, I definitely would not do. I'd carry on, push through, and whether that's good or not, we're gonna talk about later. But for now, I'm gonna pop a gel, head back home, have a nice warm shower, and debrief, let you know why I've called this session and kind of why this is a big milestone in a way, I guess, of my future self-coached training. My legs are dead. They've got nothing in them today, and you can run on heavy legs, all right. Cycling, I'm getting nowhere. Any hill, I'm almost falling off. So gel, podcast, and shower, and then I'll see you guys later. It is a beautiful morning though. It's not bad at all. Not bad for a winter November morning. Okay, it is Sunday. It is obviously the day after Saturday, and it's the day after that ride that we cut short. Obviously, as you can tell, I did not end up filming anything else on Saturday. We did a recovery swim and then the sauna in the evening, but that was it. Pretty chill day, and we needed it. We definitely felt it. So here we are, wrapping up a 52 minute run for today. Just really chill with some strides. Body wasn't feeling it this morning. Hamstrings were tight, but as we've gone on, feeling a bit better and come round. So yeah, don't want to still do too much because HRV was still low, resting heart rate was still slightly elevated. So we're going to get into all that right now once I get a smoothie, get in and start recovering from this session. Protein powder, banana, apple juice. Brilliant. Okay, as you can see, we've got a smoothie. We are back, showered, and yeah. Let's rewind and give a bit of context to the first clip in the video. I am in my second build block of training right now. Volume has been increasing for the past couple of months, and we are now starting to add some intensity. This was my second week of build number 2 and was set to be my biggest training week ever. So let's go over what this week of training so far has looked like. Monday was a complete recovery day. This is something that I've been doing for the past 2-3 months, and to be honest, I don't see it changing. Good reset day, always. Tuesday is then a hard day. It started with some VO2 max intervals on the bike, specifically 5 rounds of 3 minutes on, 3 minutes off, looking at about 120% of my FTP in them intervals. And then we also had a 25-minute block of easy zone 2 work after the intervals. And then we went into a 30-minute easy brick run. Get accustomed to that heavy leg feeling off the bike. Always try and do 1 session a week as a brick. So yeah, that was Tuesday morning. And then Tuesday afternoon / evening, we had our full body strength session consisting of 4 sets of squats, deadlifts, bench press and pull-ups, working in about 5 to 8 rep range there, so heavier loads. And then we also did a bit of leg accessory work, so some hamstring curls and some leg extensions as well. So that is a taxing day, especially on the lower body. Because of that taxing day, Wednesday is then supposed to be more of an easier day, and it is just a swim in the morning. However, this was an endurance swim and my biggest ever swim actually, where I did 3,400 meters, I believe. The main set was 5 rounds of 450 meters with 20 seconds of rest, about 2 to 3 seconds slower than my CSS pace. So I was around 146, 147 per 100 for that. And then at lunchtime, I also go and just do a a quick core session, usually 20 minutes, just a bit of accessory work there as well. And that's Wednesday completely done. Thursday is then another more demanding day. Starting off on the bike in the morning with this session was 2 by 20 minutes at tempo pace, or tempo zone, I guess, or sweet spot, I guess it actually should be referred to. I was working at about 90% of my FTP, and I actually felt really, really good in this workout. The first interval was tough, but second one felt comfortable. So that was really promising, and I was pushing the intensity up a little bit towards the end, which I might have paid for later, because in the afternoon we had a tempo run session with the main set being 2 rounds of 14 minutes. Ideally, last week I did 2 rounds of 12 minutes at 350 kilometer pace. This week I was slightly slower at a 353 kilometer pace, I believe, excuse me. Yeah, during that workout, it was intentionally supposed to be 2 by 16 minutes, but I cut it down to 2 by 14 minutes because I did feel fatigued. My left calf as well had a slight tightness, which I think was due to some issue in my hamstring and lower back as well. So we cut that session a little bit shorter from the intensity, but still I think it went all right. But I definitely noticed the fatigue after, and especially the next morning where I had a threshold swim. It wasn't great. I woke up all right, but I didn't feel well rested. It was one of them. I was like, right, this is going to be a tougher day. And it shouldn't be on a Friday. And I paid for the price for that on Saturday. But yeah, Friday was a threshold swim, about 3.2k, with the main set being 6 rounds of 200 meters off 30 seconds rest, 5 rounds of 100 meters at CSS pace, and then 5 rounds of 50 meters just fast and efficient with 20 seconds. I know with 15 seconds there, 20 seconds on the 100s. It'll all be on screen to make it easier for you. And then at lunchtime, we have an easy run, which was 40 minutes long. Last week was 35 minutes, so trying to build up the run mileage, as I've got a few plans to do a running prep later this year / start of next year. So trying to put us in a good place for that. However, legs were certainly fatigued from Thursday, and that run wasn't great. Definitely fatigued, but got through it. And then Friday evening as well was a gym session, more upper body based, but we did do a little bit of lower body, I guess movement prep, accessory work, just some glute bridges and single leg Romanian deadlifts with absolutely no weight. However, my hamstrings yesterday on Saturday and today was still tight, so definitely something I'm going to consider getting rid of, or at least minimizing next week anyway. But yeah, that brings us to Saturday, which was obviously the long ride that I had scheduled 4 hours in, and we only ended up doing 1 hour and 40. I kind of knew that was going to be the case when I went out the door. I was thinking, right, legs aren't feeling great, myself wasn't feeling great, and we'll get onto the metrics in a second. But yeah, legs just felt like lead, didn't have much or any other gears other than gear 1, so we called it, which was a big step for me, because usually I'll be like, well, 4 hours is written down, I'm going to push through it, I'm going to get it done because I want to complete it. I'm a fail if I don't complete it. So that mindset got changed yesterday, and then today obviously we cut down the run that was supposed to be 1 hour and 40, 1 hour and 35, but obviously only ended up doing about 53 minutes there. So cut it down by almost half, just to give ourselves this kind of recovery break over the weekend. And to be honest, I'm feeling much better mentally just from that. I think it was definitely needed. The warning signs were there, and we shall now get onto that. This wasn't I just don't feel like training, I'm not going to do it. There was quite a few signs towards the back end of this week that, okay, I was overdoing it. Obviously, the previous week as well was a heavy week of training. I had the Monday rest day, but arguably it probably wasn't enough to allow me to fully recover. So obviously there was some accumulated fatigue there. But yeah, looking through the data, which I have on my watch, which is not on my wrist, although you can probably always tell where it sits on my wrist. My watch is a Garmin Forerunner 965. But yeah, this is Garmin Forerunner 965. Very fortunate to have got that for my birthday. So I'm going to go over the data I get from it and what I use and helped inform this decision in the end. I think it's important to say as well that obviously the number one thing is feel. Like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I carried on because although this was telling me different, I felt pretty good. But obviously there was a delay between this and then this. So yeah, it's learning. But yeah, what we got from it. So the resting heart rate, the two that I use really are resting heart rate and HRV. My resting heart rate on Monday morning was 43. Tuesday morning was 44. Now Tuesday, we had a heavy day with the VO2 max intervals, the run and the gym workout. So Wednesday morning, my resting heart rate was 48. So that increased by 4 beats per minute, which as you can see on the screen, once I get it up, is a pretty big jump. And you can see that it then stayed elevated as well. Thursday morning, after the Wednesday day, after Wednesday, it went up to 49. Thursday, obviously, we had a very intense day. And Friday, it stayed elevated at 49. So it didn't increase after Thursday, which was interesting, but perhaps I was already at my max. Saturday morning, it dropped down to 47. And then Sunday morning, it was at 48. So you can see there that it's trending downwards-ish, but it's still very high compared to what we started the week. So, funnily enough, training status is strained. Now, I hate this. I never use this because it takes into account other things and collectively. I don't think it's necessarily the right thing. Like, I'm supposed to be accumulating fatigue at this point, so there's obviously going to be some fatigue, and obviously I've reached the capacity where there's probably a little bit too much fatigue, and that's why we are now recovering. But HRV status is another thing I use, and funnily enough, this correlated quite well with my resting heart rate. So Monday, it was 76, which is within my baseline range. My baseline range is actually 73 to 86. And you can see there, that's the overall trend. So I think it might be a bit funny on your screen, but this is 4 weeks ago. This is this week in the green. That's like my average. So you see HRV is increasing, which is a good sign of fitness being built. However, the daily average has plummeted this past week, basically. So yeah, it was 79 on Tuesday. So sorry, 76 on Monday, 79 on Tuesday. So increased a little bit, probably within the day-to-day fluctuation. Nothing worried about that. Tuesday was obviously the big heavy day, resting heart rate. Wednesday morning skyrocketed, and funnily HRV did the opposite. It decreased down to 64, which is a sign of stress and not being able to adapt to training when it lowers. However, obviously you got to take these into account, and it is a watch. It may not always be accurate, but it's the trends that are the most important and the most valuable, I believe. So Wednesday morning it dropped to 64. Thursday morning it actually dropped further, just to 62, and then Friday, after Thursday's heavy day, it went to back to 64 as well there. So again, HRV correlated quite well with heart rate. Saturday it went up to 70, and this morning it was up at 71. So it's on the rise, but still slightly below baseline levels. But I thought that was pretty interesting, and can obviously predict when you're going to feel fatigued. Obviously, I didn't listen to it at the start because I felt good. Like I said, my Thursday session was brilliant. I did 2 by 20 minutes. Last week I did 2 by 16 minutes at about 207 watts average for both 16 minutes. This week I averaged about 211 watts for 20 minutes both rounds. So massive improvements there. I think heart rate was also lower. The only thing I would note is that I was ill towards the start of last week, so that could obviously impact my heart rate and power levels, but it wasn't a major illness. I was off the worst of it. But those were the data, or that was the data that informed my decision. Now the most important data was not feeling well rested when I woke up. Honestly, motivation was low, and that is usually pretty rare for me. Usually I'm pretty motivated to get stuff done, and even if I'm not, I'm very disciplined in what I do. And yeah, I don't really need too much motivation, but I just wasn't there. I was like, oh, dreading it. I think that's the thing. It's like sometimes you'll go through workouts and you won't feel much. You won't feel like amped up to get it done, but you won't necessarily feel like it's a slog. You just get it done, just like clockwork. But these ones felt like a slog. They dragged. I was drained, and 5 minutes in, I was thinking about when was it going to be over. So that's when I knew I was probably overreaching, not overtraining, just overreaching. And so that's why we called the plug on these sessions over the weekend. So let's look for the future. Why have I taken just this weekend off? Why don't I do a full recovery week? And what am I going to do to my training in the future to prevent this happening again? Turn this up so you can actually see us. The lovely laptop. Right, so got all our training on here. Honestly, I could stare at this for hours, days, weeks, months. I'd probably do. Anyway, what are we going to change? Well, first and foremost, not too much. I'm one that I could easily be like, okay, I messed up. We've got to scrap everything I know and change it. I know Lionel Sanders gets stick for that in some sense, but yeah, I think the principles of our training plan are pretty good. We just need to ad hoc a bit more recovery, probably scale back the intensity a little bit because we were quite aggressive with that. The previous block, we just had a threshold workout on the bike on Thursdays, and an easy run on Thursday, and a threshold swim session. So only 2 days really of intensity, whereas we've gone from that to VO2 max session Tuesday, the tempo session on the bike on Thursday, a tempo session on the run on Thursday, and then Friday the threshold session. So we've gone from 2 to 4, which was probably too much of a step. Right now I am just wanting to work on my bike and increase my FTP. So that's kind of the main focus. So probably scale back the run on the Thursday afternoon, keep that an easy run, and then Friday probably get rid of the easy run as well, because that definitely did not help me recover for Saturday. I still do want to do 4 runs a week, so I might include a brick run on the Saturday after the Saturday ride, only 10-15 minutes, just to get a bit of, I guess, lower body, calf, foot activation. But that's about it. The main focus has to be the bike at the minute, and obviously we can maybe do this session this week again in a few months' time, but right now obviously it was too much for our body and the accumulated stress. So yeah, key points I just want to get across now is how it's a process, but I am learning to listen to my body and work with it rather than against it. I think that's something that a lot of people in the endurance space can think is right. How much work can I do? But if you don't respond and adapt to the work, then to be honest, it's pretty pointless, and you're only digging yourself a hole for no real reason. So striving for productive training. Don't get me wrong though, there's going to be sessions when you don't want to do it and motivation won't be there, and you still have to. You still have to train. And that's the hardest part about it, is being like, okay, am I just being lazy or am I actually needing this recovery? And considering the work that I put in last week and already the work and the intensity I'd done the previous or this week just been, I think having a weekend, a mini recovery weekend, was definitely deserved and definitely wouldn't hinder my training and be beneficial, to be honest. Like, just because the goal was 4 hours this weekend in an hour and 40 run doesn't mean I've failed the last 3 weeks. No, it just means I've just got to scale it back. And hopefully, because I've done this, the final week of this block, or of this build, can be productive. And I can get these VO2 max sessions done. I can get a tempo session done on the bike. I'll probably scale back the run, like I say. And then the big ride on Saturday will still be able to get done. As obviously, with my intentions of potentially doing an Ironman next year, this is a really good time to give myself a bit of a head start and build some endurance on the bike. So when I do then go to getting out longer as it gets closer to race day, I feel more accustomed and I'm not having to build volume as quickly, and I don't feel rushed with the whole process. But the title of this video is going to be Courage. Why? Well, courage is the ability to do something that frightens you. And yes, whether that's signing up for these big endurance events, an Ironman, a marathon, whatever it is, it takes courage to sign up for that, absolutely. But you can also find courage in other parts of your life and your training, such as taking the courage to rest, to recover. And I think that's something that is much harder for endurance athletes who are type A, wanting to do more and feel value in the work that they do. It's hard to see a recovery week or a recovery few days as being productive to training. So this one is about courage, about, yes, doing things that are hard, whether that is signing up for events or whether it is taking a recovery. It's changing your ways, basically. My mindset around recovery used to be, well, I don't need it, my body will just adapt. If I write out Monday to Saturday or to Sunday and these are the sessions, then I'll do them and I'll just get better. I'll force it. I'll try and put a square shape in a triangular hole. Like, that won't work. And so, like I said, working with my body, taking the courage to give myself the time off, to reward myself, because I put in almost 2 weeks of really, really good work. And then the previous 3 weeks were brilliant as well. And then I took a 1 week recovery. Like, training's accumulative and you're not defined by your last session at all. So that's really what I want to get across. Having the long-term perspective, the mindset and the courage to give yourself rest, recovery, but equally to push through when you need to. It's finding that balance, and it's by no means at all easy, and it's one that I think you'll never fully master, and you're always learning, always developing. Like, my body will adapt and I'll get better at this, and maybe a 4-hour ride will become a 5-hour ride, and what needs to be a recovery 1.5 hour spin could be a recovery 3-hour spin. Like, it's crazy. I mean, if you look at what the elite triathletes are doing, their rest day, I was listening to Christian Blumenfeld and his rest day, he said he had a rest day and it was like a 5k swim and a 12k run. Like, that's a heavy day of training for me, very heavy. Like, I've never swam 5k, but it's all relative. It's all, perspective as well. And obviously he's been in the sport for coming up probably 20 years, so it's crazy. So yeah, don't compare yourself to others is another one. But yeah, it's going to be a journey, signing up for these big events. I haven't officially done any yet, but I know what I want to do, and that might be the next video. But yeah, you learn so much throughout these events, these processes, and arguably training is the hardest part, but it is equally the most rewarding part as well. Seeing that growth, the improvement, that is ultimately why I do it. But yeah, that is the first episode of me documenting my journey to potentially
becoming an Ironman. I always hope that you guys can take something away from this video and any video that I make, whether that is mindset, whether it's physical, training, etc., sleep, recovery, nutrition, anything around that. Hopefully there's something you can take away. Let me know what you want to see on the channel, and what you want help with your own training, anything like that. Always feel free to send me an email. I'm always happy to help and coach others through their own journey as well. So please do reach out if you have any questions. And if you want a good podcast to listen to, then please listen to Matt Dixon from Purple Patch podcast. But there's a brilliant one that I listened to actually recently about recovery and mindset. And ironically, his also had courage in the title. So I'll link that below. Really good listen, and maybe that influenced the title of this video. Maybe it influenced my weekend of training of actually deciding to take some recovery because I needed it. But yeah, with all that being said, I'll link that below. And as always, guys, thank you for watching. No one saw me miss that. Oh, what a week. Let's get it.